So I've been quietly working on something behind the scenes that I'm finally ready to share. For our Budgetdog Academy students, we're giving them access to private real estate deals that used to be only available to the wealthy and accredited investors. And we're going to be doing it at a very regular rate going forward. So I want to share exactly what this is, why this business was built, and how it benefits you as a Budgetdog Academy student, and avoid any confusion and avoid any surprises. I know there's been a lot of questions since I publicly said that we started this new real estate business. So I want to make sure it's very clear as to what this is. So over the years, guys, I built a lot of relationships with some of the best real estate syndicators in the entire United States. And so these deals are normally requiring people to be accredited. So let's talk about what accredited is and the limitations for these deals. So number one, if you're part of this deal, you have access to somebody that's wealthy or somebody that has a connection, aka myself. So most people aren't just going to go find these deals. These are private real estate deals. This is not public equity market like the stock market. You can go invest in the S&P 500 whenever you would like as a public individual in the United States. Private real estate deals are only available if you have connections, literally. And even at that, there's usually limitations on how you can be part of this. So you have to be accredited. So what does accredited actually mean? Accredited, there's a few things that qualify you as accredited. So it could be an and/or situation. So the first one, the most obvious one, is a $1 million net worth without your personal residence. So if you are that, you're considered accredited, okay? You could go, by the way, in accredited status and outside of accredited status if you lost everything, for example. But if you're $1 million net worth without your personal residence, you're a millionaire. The other thing is that you're worth $200,000 plus with income every single year. So back-to-back years, the last 2 years, as a single individual, you made $200,000 plus, or as a married filing jointly individual, you made $300,000 plus. There's also a few certifications or a few professional designations that qualify, like a CPA like myself, and also different series license from an advisor side of things. So there are other professional certifications, but not many. You can always look up the exact definition online if you would like. So historically, obviously the general public were locked out of these. So the students were locked out of opportunities like this because I had the opportunity to give them the deal. The problem is it was accredited, and not every student is accredited. In fact, that's the goal, to become accredited with time. So to hit the $1 million net worth. And a lot of students are becoming accredited, but when you come into the academy, that's not where people are. That's not our type of person that we're working with. So because of the influence and because of the partnerships I built, I was able to negotiate with some of these huge syndicators across the United States, specifically to bypass these old rules. One of those big ones being Rise 48. And not only did I do that, but I gave them, as students, better deals if they go through us as the new entity that I formed versus directly to Rise 48, which is even better. So there's a benefit for them going through us, and also I basically nix all those rules that they used to have to previously qualify for. So I partner with, literally some of the top guys. I've vetted them. These are trusted real estate syndicators with a good track record. These aren't people that are just like come by night. There's a lot of bad players in the industry, and you got to really weed these people out. So I've vetted these people hard, and I don't have a ton of partners, and that's intentional. I don't want thousands of people here. Right now, as of today, we have 2 partners that have strategically teamed up with me in my business officially to where we actually have a deal that we've negotiated. And I don't anticipate to have more than probably 3, to be honest, ever. And that's intentional because I want to protect my students. I want to protect, obviously, everybody that the Budgetdog brand, everyone that comes across this. And I want to provide good results. So I only work with people that have been going on for a previous, a track record of really good records. And the other thing is there's a lot of bad players out there, but I don't want, there's always risk to this game. Like I always explain to all my students, every deal, it could go the opposite direction. Like it's an investment deal, obviously, right? There's a risk. However, when you look at the track records of our individuals, there are no bad plays that they've had, historically speaking, under the current entity they operate with. Maybe previously they learned the hard way and they built the businesses they did today, but they are successful as all get out. We're talking 1.5 to 2x multiples on almost every deal dating back to 10 years. And so they've done a lot, but because of our partnerships, I've negotiated really, really specific terms for Budgetdog Academy specific students, working with SEC attorneys and everybody like that, working with FTC attorneys. Like we've worked with everybody under the sun to make sure that this is a doable thing, and we've set up the entity accordingly so that our students can benefit. We are also generating profit for this, and it's just a better overall smooth process for everybody involved with this. And so forming this entity was all built on that. And it was a very natural ascension for what I would next do. The academy, from an educational perspective, made sense in the beginning, and it's still obviously a thing. Like, we do this what this is for. Essentially, it's built on the back end. But the natural ascension, and I'll talk about my next business too, I'm going to be getting, is real estate. The real estate plays, the access to all these private equity deals, all these partnerships I'm building. Why not form an entity that gives my students a better play than they would have had otherwise, and just deal flow in general. Vetted deal flow. They don't have to go vet themselves. Trusted people. They break down all the accredited stats. They don't need that. And because we've negotiated those terms, we have a lot of deal flow for our students. And that's how I got rich, and that's how my students are getting even richer. I did this after $1 million net worth. Some of my students have hit $1 million net worth. Some of them haven't. But I want to speed their journey up. And this has helped me speed my journey up personally. So I want them to be able to do the same. And so the types of properties we own are, there's a few things depending on the partner that I'm with. So multifamily, commercial, mixed use, other syndications. But like I said, the traditional barriers that are out there, even if you have access to one of these private deals, you're not going to have access to these private deals unless you have a wealthy individual friend or you have a connecting person within the syndication game. And if you don't have those, you don't have access. And even if you do, you still have to be accredited, like I said. So you have to be accredited, which we've talked about the definition. And then you also have to have a normal $50,000 to $100,000 minimum investment. And so those investments are obviously resistance barriers for people joining. Like, those are big hurdles for people, the average person, to get over. And so what we're doing through the partnerships I've built with these different individuals, we've gotten smaller minimums. So we don't have a minimum, and we don't have accredited access. And we've changed a lot of our structures from 506C, which is accredited deals, to 506B for that reason. But also underneath the surface and underneath the hood, we've also built additional negotiation terms internally to make sure that my students have special access to these deals. And so what Budgetdog does as a business for this, it's not my business entity is not even called Budgetdog for this particular purpose. I'll keep that name out of it. It's intentional, but it's a ghost business with managing companies, and that's intentional. So I'll keep the name out of it, but we don't operate the properties. Okay, so we are going to source, we're going to vet, and we're going to bring deal flow based on our relationships and based on our leverage that we have as an influencer, essentially. I hate to say that word, but there is a sense of influence when we're coaching and teaching thousands of people all over the United States. And so we have used that to our advantage. So because I'm raising capital for these deals, our business earns an equity stake, just for clarity's sake. So everyone knows like what's happening. So it means we share the upside with you guys. So when we raise amounts of capital, let's say we raise $1 million or $1.5 million, the entity underneath, the ghost entity I referred to, is going to earn a portion of equity in that deal for raising those funds. So it's a benefit to both people, right? It's the syndicator came in to a trusted partner, myself. I came in with a syndicator that's my trusted partner. We both trust each other. We built negotiation terms saying this syndicator is looking to build and find and source deal flow. So they're trying to source, bringing deals into their company, and then they want to go raise money for those. And raising money is not an easy thing. But because I have a very active community, my students love these deals, and it's very easy to raise capital for a good deal. So I have partnered up with them and saying, hey, I can raise you likely X amount of dollars, but as a result, you're going to drop the minimums, you're going to drop the accredited status, and you're going to give my students favorable terms, more favorable terms than you would have otherwise if they went straight to you. And as a result, you're going to give me a cut of that. And so there's a win-win for all three parties, the student, myself, as well as the syndicator. And all of this came from leverage. And what I always talk about a lot of times is marketplace value. So when we're building businesses, when we're thinking about ways to bring more value to the marketplace, a lot of people are constantly thinking about like, how do I make extra dollars? And they don't think about a bigger play here and how they can use their leverage in different areas of their life to then produce marketplace value. So because I'm using my leverage, because I'm using my name, because I'm using my brand, I am producing value for a syndicator. I'm producing value for a student. And therefore, nobody's mad that I'm making money. Of course I should make money, right? I'm bringing value to the marketplace. If I bring $10 of value to the marketplace, I should at least get paid $1, should I not? And this is the way we need to start thinking about building businesses as entrepreneurs. And there's this like stigma that like if you make money from a service or product that is online, it's not valuable or it's not helpful. But if you're providing and helping people and giving people marketplace value, that is the definition of business 101. And so people need to stop feeling guilty about this out there. There's a lot of people that feel guilty and they hold themselves back from creating marketplace value because they feel bad to earn money. And you should feel good to earn money because it's helping everybody. And so if you're able to provide value to somebody in multiple different parties and you get paid for that, be proud in that. And so to start to look for opportunities in the marketplace just like this, just like we did. We created a business out of thin air because of everything that we built 10 years ago. So the starting of our personal finance, actually 13 years ago. All the financial knowledge that we put in for the years and years and years and years and years turned into the academy. And the academy was a replica of what I wish I would have known when I was 22, 23 years old. And so as I went throughout that journey, I basically documented and brought together a process and system to do exactly what I historically did, to the point where I wrote a national bestseller about it, the Roadmap to Financial Freedom. So that was my first business. My first business was not my book. My first business was showing people the exact roadmap we did personally to build millionaire and beyond net worth. And so as a result, we've had millionaires and beyond created from that previous experience and previous system and framework. And so I'm very good in my head with how do I put together systems and frameworks to make this happen for other people. And so as I was building our net worth and as I was getting into my first business venture, my second business venture was recognizing that I could move this at a faster pace if I had deals from private partners. I had deals in the private equity space, private real estate space, and if I can combine those and build that on top of what I already had, I could speed this journey up. And so I started doing that. And in the beginning, I just did it. Like I didn't have a business, like it wasn't intended to be a business at all. It was like, hey, here's a great deal, guys. This is what I'm investing in. I got my name on it. You guys can see me. I'm an investor. If you guys want the deal, awesome. And so as that kind of like went on throughout the years, I was like, man, like, what if I just like, I already know the syndicator because obviously I have access to these deals. Why don't I talk to the syndicator about a way that we can give our students a really clear pathway to being cheaper than it would be if you went straight there? And the syndicator, what's the benefit to them? They would be getting and raising capital. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, that would be crazy value for everybody involved. And obviously I would negotiate terms where I'd be getting paid too. And so the whole reason I built this was like, it was natural. Like same with the academy. Like the academy was just built on because I did this. Like I figured a way to do it. And so this real estate business is very much so the same way. I started sourcing, vetting, and bringing in capital partners for myself. And so if I was doing that for me, why can't I do that for my entire student body? And so I was thinking through it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is obvious to me. And so like I started talking to the syndicators. I narrowed them down. I did interviews. I talked to them. We negotiated terms, which I don't do negotiation much. I'm like, hey, here's what I think will work. Tell me if you think otherwise. I'm not very greedy at all. I don't sit there and negotiate at tables like like a lot of people talk about. I know there's an abundance in this world, and I know there's plenty to be had. And so I just want a good opportunity for my students at my core. And so that's exactly what I did. And essentially what I want to be very clear about with this is that I built this business to give access to my students that they would not otherwise have. And so that is where the pure intention came from, because I was doing these deals and I got fired up about them. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to give these to my students. The first couple I threw to them, I didn't get a cut. We didn't negotiate deals or partner terms, but there was a 506C offering. So it was unfortunate, like most people couldn't get access to these. So I was like, I got to take that away. I got to cut that access because that access is silly, the accredited access. And so I want to be very clear. I built this to give my students access, right? There's lower minimums, so you can start smaller and scale into bigger deals later. You don't have to be an accredited investor. So opportunities once reserved for the top 1% are now open to everybody. Just if you know me and you're part of my academy, you can't be on the outside. You can't be a lurker, follower, and wondering, hey, how do I get these deals? These deals are meant for a lifetime. So when you're in the academy, which is a one-time investment, you now have access for the rest of your life. So as the academy increases in price and value, you just benefit from that, from being in investing and trusting in me, which means a lot. I don't like to force people to get better, but what I will say is that people that trust me will win big. That's all I'll say. keep it at that. Secondly, or thirdly, is the vetted partner side of things. So every operator we work with, we've researched extensively. We've searched also for reliability. The track record is very important. Trustworthiness, just as a character, like the character of an individual, very important to me when I'm vetting these deals. It's not just, hey, previous history, because if this guy would screw me over, he's going to screw all my students over. And of course, there's risk to everything, right? I can't predict the future. I don't know every investment deal in the future, how it's going to turn out. Based on their track record, based on my gut feeling of this individual, it's pretty good. It's proven to be good with my students. All the deals, we've had about 7 deals in the last year or so. Everyone's so far on track, actually above where we expected. So historically speaking, great. Does it happen? I don't know. In the future, depends. But the shared incentives are very important. So if the deal performs well, you win. And if the deal performs well, I win. And if the deal performs well, they win. So we're all aligned. And that's always important, I think, in deal structures, incentives. Especially as you build a business and you start to pay people internally, you got to make sure their incentives are aligned with what you want them to accomplish, because they're going to do and take actions that are incentivizing the individual. And so I always think about that. How do I incentivize everybody in the right direction to get the best result? That's a very hard thing to do as a business owner, but I've done that on multiple occasions, and it's a skill set you have to build and develop with time. And you'll learn the hard way when you first start hiring people and you pay them something and you realize, hey, they're not incentivized to do this, but I want them to do this. So you have to renegotiate terms and all that kind of stuff. So I want to pause and address something up front, because transparency does matter to me though as well. Yes, we do earn a portion of the equity on the back end of these deals, but I want to explain why that's a good thing. So I kind of talked about it. It doesn't cost students extra. We only profit if the deal performs well, and the student gets in cheaper if they go with us versus directly to the syndicator. So it's better for them anyway. They don't have to invest in these deals. These are opportunities purely. And the equity earned is because of years of networking, vetting, and negotiating behind the scenes, which is important. Without those relationships, those deals would not be available to our students. So these are from years of talking to individuals and building relationships and getting access to these deals. And I talk about that a lot, is access, access, access. This is what I'm referring to. Because I built the relationships, I put the sweat equity in for years, for a decade plus of building everything I built to today. And because of that, now I built these relationships I can leverage even more. And my next business venture is going to be a CPA firm, by the way, which I'm going to be investing. By the time this comes out, my first CPA firm would have already been purchased. We'll talk about that in another episode. So when you're listening to this, my CPA firm, my first CPA firm, I've already invested in. But guys, Budgetdog started with teaching people how to manage debt, how to become wealthy, how to invest smartly. But we want to accelerate into wealth acceleration. So I don't want to just play defense. We play defense a lot with the budgeting side of things, but we want to take that cash flow and use it for offense. We want to earn dividend income. We want to earn real estate passive income. There are no two better things in the world than passive income when it comes to real estate passive income and then dividend passive income. If you know what syndications are, which we didn't go into detail of what those actually are today, they are essentially like an index. Think about an index fund to buy a big multifamily property. So you're not doing anything. The syndicator I'm referring to, my partner, is the one doing all the work. It is truly passive, and you're earning a quarterly check, which is awesome. So this is going to be something, this is huge. What's coming, what I built, and how I accelerate our students' wealth is going to be next level. I know that for a fact. I'm never going to bring a deal I wouldn't personally invest in myself. Obviously, even if it is a trusted partner, I always still vet the deal, even though I trust them. And it's not about pitching my students or anything like that. It's about helping them get opportunities. I know that can get twisted and turned and stuff like that if you don't really know the full story, which is why I'm doing this podcast. I would be doing these deals anyway. And so my thought is, if I'm going to be doing these deals, why can't I provide additional value to my students as well as a syndicator? And if I marry the three together, incentive for student, incentive for syndicator, incentive for myself, and we all profit, makes sense, right? I'm the deal maker. And so if I'm the deal maker, I'm making, I'm bringing revenue to other people's pockets. That's called a capitalism, and that's called how you build a business. So bringing marketplace value. So just want to be very transparent about that. But if you do want to learn more about these deals and how to get access when they go live, you have to be joined in Budgetdog Academy. Like you can't be on the outside looking in. So we're building something special here, guys, not just courses and coaching. This is a true mentorship community, access to investment deals, one-on-one support. It's next level networking. People are getting jobs in the community. I'm throwing job opportunities out there. People work for me. Literally, I've had 2 students actually work for me. And what we're building here is something next level. So for anybody that to think on the outside, or you've been listening, you're like, oh, I thought Budgetdog Academy was like a course or like a debt pay down thing. Like it's so much more than that. It's like it's next level. And so I want to be very clear about what this is. But the key behind this, guys, is that everybody out there that's thinking about starting a business, that's thinking about how to generate marketplace value, think about what we talked about today. A lot of this was natural. A lot of this was built because I took my framework that I thought about in my head that actually worked for me and my family. We created what's called Budgetdog Academy, which is an exact roadmap to financial freedom. We wrote a national bestseller off this guy right here. And we just slowly and steadily shared the journey that we were on. And our next journey was the real estate game, the real estate syndications, the private equity deals. My students actually got a private equity deal, which I didn't talk about a lot. Those don't come up as often, but they do come up. We've had a syndicate car wash. We've had a shoe deal. I'm in both of those, and my goal is hopefully for the shoe deal to sell to Nike. So I know there's a few other students in there. So these deals are few and far between for the private equity side. The real estate side is a pretty consistent flow. And my goal is to continue to provide value to my students in any way possible and negotiate and use my leverage to make sure they have the best opportunity possible to build wealth, because that's what we're about. There's a reason my students are becoming millionaires. There's a reason the students are becoming, increasing their net worth at hundreds of thousands of dollars over years. One of my students just increased their net worth $181,000 over 13 months. That's not abnormal at all. It's pretty standard. And this stuff is happening left and right. And people that want to, actually somebody else just increased their net worth like $240,000 over 6 months. Granted, they became millionaires, so they were over the $1 million mark. But needless to say, it's still $240,000 over 6 months. And these are everyday people that are trying to get better and trying to win. And my goal is just to give them more opportunity, give them more frameworks, give them more systems, and make their life a lot easier. And that's what we're doing. That's the community that we built. And if you want to be part of that, go in the show notes below. If not, all good, no hard feelings. And I wanted to make sure I broke this down today to give you guys a very good insight into what we have with the new business venture that I created as of recent. I put out there publicly. With that being said, guys, I will see everybody next week.